Hi, welcome to NPT's community class. I'm Sarah, and I'll be taking you through one of our reformer classes today. By this stage, you probably would have had a little look at our previous classes with Chantel and Sally, and been working quite well into that repertoire of Intro to Basic. Today, we're going to continue, and we're going to work into Basic towards Progressive level. So we're going to start incorporating some little bit more challenging work. And today's focus is flow. I want us to start to think about the way we connect the exercises together, starting and gradually adding that little progression and making sure that we're not breaking things up too much. So we do intend to find that flow throughout that whole class. I hope you enjoy the class. Enjoy. All right, so we're going to start off with a little bit of a warm-up. First and foremost, my springs are at 3, preparing for leg and foot work. With that, we're going to come on down for a little sit down. We're going to swing the legs over into a cross-legged position. Now, you are more than welcome to be facing forwards or side on. We are just going to close our eyes and we're just going to channel into our bodies for some breath work. Now, here, we're going to go into hand on chest and hand on the belly, focusing firstly into some diaphragmic breathing. Taking a deep breath in, allowing the belly to fill up and the chest to expand. Exhale. Make that breath nice and slow, releasing. Get the sense of the chest dropping and the tummy drawing in. Let's repeat. Let's add a bit of count to this. Breath in for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. And start to gently take that breath out for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And try and squeeze that last little breath out, really finding a little bit of that core connection. Breath in, taking it slowly. You're welcome to count. You hold. And as we breathe out, sense how the sternum starts to drop, how the abdominal wall starts to pull away. Pop the hands to the sides of our rib cage, quite up high, and also wrap the thumbs around that rib cage. Let's start to focus here on how we can create that breath laterally, so into our intercostal breathing. We breathe into our hands, feeling the expansion of the rib cage to the sides and also to the back. Exhale. Let the hands draw in towards each other. Feel how the rib cage collapses in. A breath in again to the sides. Being mindful about not letting the chest, the sternum lift this time. And exhale. Use that breath out to find that wrapping sensation, like a 3-dimensional wrap around the waistline. And again, start to breathe in through the rib cage, out to the sides. If you've noticed, I've changed my position with my hands, pop them back onto my belly. I want to maintain that 3-dimensional wrap as I breathe in. And then as I exhale, finding that deep connection. We're going to bring ourselves down onto our reformer. Then pop onto our side. And have a little lie down. And we bring those legs around. And we're going to pop them onto the foot bar. Pop the heels on. Pop the hands by your sides. I might have a little sneaky peek just to check if my plumb line is in order and in line with the carriage. And then from here, I want us to print the body. Get a sensation of where the head is, how heavy it feels, the gentle curve of the neck, the cervical, the thoracic and the rib cage feeling heavy, plus the collarbones are broad. We continue down the spine into our lumbar region. That gentle curvature, not pressing into the carriage, but its natural curve. The pelvis is heavy. We should feel unloaded, but prepared. There's energy in our fingertips. Our arms are long. Our legs are parallel. From here, we'll start with an imprint. Exhale. As we draw that breath out, feel how the abdominals start to draw. Find a scoop through the lower abdominals, allowing the lower back to flatten. And then inhaling, returning back to your home base, your neutral. We'll do 3 more. Exhale. Inhale to return. Exhale. Find that deep scoop. A little bit of movement through the pelvis, initiated by the abdominals, returning to neutral. Do 1 more. And exhale. Careful not to squeeze the glutes or push through the legs to create movement. Return through to neutral. We're going to continue through that imprint and wind the pelvis up into our pelvic curl. Exhale, we imprint. Allow the back to flatten. We start to curl the pelvis and peel the spine off. We track the knees forwards over the foot bar as we lengthen out in a long diagonal line. Take a breath in. Exhale, sink the sternum. Let the rib cage land. Mid-spine, lower back through that imprint. Returning the sacrum, returning to home base. Breath in to prepare. Think your print. And then exhale, we curl back up. Winding. Think of the spine as a little bit of a slinky, peeling up. A breath in. And then a curl back down. Starting to really start to warm up those hamstrings and lower glute fibers. We'll do 3 more. Exhale for a wind. Knees tracking forwards over the foot bar. And I want us to have a moment here, because our legs are elevated, we've got this opportunity to really sort of check in and double check that those thighs are definitely parallel. Curl it back down again. This might be the opportunity where we might need to grab a little Pilates ball and pop it between the knees, or a yoga ball. One last one. And curling back down again. Coming through to that home base, finding that neutral pelvis, neutral spine. We'll bring those hands up towards the ceiling. Float one leg up to tabletop on that exhale. Second leg comes up. Find that wrap, that 3-dimensional wrap around that waistline. Navel drawing in. Exhale, we lift through chest lift. Note my hands are in chest lift 1 position, but my legs are in tabletop. Slight variation, a hybrid between 1 and 2. and 3, and we lower. Again, exhale. We're preparing for those arms being in straps for our abdominal series a little later on in the track. And we return. Collars are broad. Feel how the sternum sinks and slides towards the pubic bone. We're in a flexed position through the spine. The pelvis is remaining nice and neutral and stable. We'll do 3 more. Exhale. Breath in. And then an exhale to lower. So it's nice and slow. So 2 breaths. And exhale. Now to prepare, I'm going to add a little bit here. We're going to use the arms. We're going to create the arm movement for double leg stretch. From here, we're going to bring those arms up, circle them around, and reach for the toes. Hold, lower back down again. So in actual fact, think of this as your 4-point double leg stretch, just the arms. And inhale. So it's a reverse breath. We reach for the toes. We circle on that exhale. We inhale to reach that little bit further. And then we exhale to lower back down again. And inhale to reach. Exhale to circle. Inhale to reach. And then exhale to lower. One last one. And all the way down. You can pull your knees in for a little stretch through the lumbar. Returning, bringing the legs back through tabletop. Keep the feet together. Hold on to the little pegs beside your ears. Spine twist, let the elbows drop to the sides. Inhale, we tip the legs. The pelvis twists, but the upper rib cage remains on the carriage. Exhale, use the obliques to return the legs. Other side, inhale. Find that rotation, find the opposite anchoring, and return. And last one. And returning. Nicely down. We're going to bring one leg down and then the other. Popping the heels on, popping the hands back beside us. We're finding that alignment, just making sure the pelvis is landed square to the carriage. I want you to energize a little bit through those feet. I want you to imagine you're standing on the ground here. From an exhale, we're going to start straight into some leg and footwork. We're going to press out. And we've got 8 of these. A nice rhythm. So it's a push, but also a pull back in again. We're watching that we're not riding that carriage. We're almost resisting the spring load as we come back in. So there's a balance through the legs. There's work happening from the underside. Full extension to return. Let's go for 3 more. And we'll go straight onto the toes next. Last one. Pull back in. Feel the hamstrings pulling you in. pop the balls of the feet on here. Little lift of the heels, ready to go again. Exhale, press away. Whilst you're working through this, a few things we can check in on our body. Checking that the pelvis is remaining stable. We're in a nice neutral position through the spine and the pelvis. And there's that hip association. Aim for 3 more. Lots happening, lots of energy happening through the legs and the feet as well. Pull it in, squeeze the heels together. You're in a little V. Careful that the knees don't part too wide. The adductors still need to be on. We press away again. Pull back in. Particularly as we extend the legs, just making sure that those heels remain glued together to find the adductors. A real sensation of pulling up, zipping up. We'll do 4 more. Using your breath to exhale out and inhale to pull in. And drawing the carriage back in, ready for heels wide. Now my foot bar is a little bit wider than what I would preferably prefer for myself. So you just notice I'm just sort of aligning myself to that external rotation. And we press away. Pull back in. Exhale out. Inhale. Keeping the sacrum anchored. And feeling that elongation for the crown and the coccyx. Aim for 3 more. Pulling in. Toes, think balls of the feet. Ready to go. Little lift of the heels. And so what you're noticing today is I'm actually trying not to take too many little breaks in between. We should already be a little bit more conscious of these exercises. We've been working on them for a little while now. And 3. And 2. And 1. Draw it back in again. Let's go into toes, parallel. We're going to press on out until we extend those legs out nice and long. It's our calf raises. So it's a 3 count to lower. And it's a 3 count to lift. So it's quite slow. It's quite precise. We're watching that window just drop into a stretch. We're working through the range, particularly if we've got tight little Achilles. And as we rise up, we're going to find whether or not those ankles really want to stay in line. We're watching whether or not they might want to roll out. Might need to focus a little bit more on the weight into the big toe or the ball of the big toe to help with that alignment. Let's go for 2 more. And 1 more rise. And then from here, keep your rise straight into a prance. We'll go slow initially. So think about pulling up to both legs extended and then lowering the other heel down. Kneecaps are pointing to the ceiling, watching the alignment that the thighs are still parallel. Let's pick that pace up. Good, we've got 10, 9. As we're working through that quick pace, double check we haven't let the pelvis go. There's a lot of wrap happening, a lot of core stability. 2, 1, rise up and pulling yourself back in again. We're going to do a quick change of the springs. Pop ourselves onto the side. We're going to drop it down to 1 or 1.5. Think to yourself, we are about to do some single leg work. So and we're going to be working into quite a sequence for that single leg. Popping ourselves back on, setting our alignment on that carriage. Go toes, heels a little bit lifted. Hop one leg up to tabletop. I want you to really get that sensation of both thigh bones, even though one is lifted, one leg is lifted, both thigh bones driving back into the pelvis. So we're stable here. A basic single leg, we're going to press out. Find that extension and draw ourselves back in again with that control. We have 6. Find the energy from the underside of the leg for 2 more. And now we're going to add a little bit more to it. So this time around, push out again, hold the out, lower the heel down, careful with the control here, rise back up and pull yourself back in again. We've got another 5 of these. Rise, pull back in, nice alignment here. And 3. And 2. And 1. Good, pull back in. We're still staying here. We've got now going straight into our progression single leg. So you're going to push out and extend the leg long and draw it back in. We've got another 5. And in. And 4. 3. Hold the last one. Draw the heel down. Press back up. Pull back in. Repeat. Extend. Draw down. Rise and in. So the challenge here is this repetitive, this sequencing of progression. We're fatiguing into the legs a little bit. So being really mindful that we're not losing that alignment and that form within our movement. Good, we should have 1 more left. Pull in and swapping over. I don't know about you, that was rather toasty on my leg. So ball of the foot, find your alignment, find the draw into the pelvis. Pressing away, we're starting with our basic movement first. We're focused on our breath for 3 and 2 and 1. Pulling in, let's add that calf raise, press away. Draw the heel down, rise it up, bring it back. Good. Going to load into that leg through repetition. All right, onto our progression. We extend and draw back in. Good, depending on hamstring length, that leg may be reaching for the ceiling, or it may come down a little bit lower. But what we want to be really careful of is that the pelvis doesn't scoop or tuck, an imprint. So as the leg extends, we want to keep neutral for the spine and the pelvis. And that should be our last one. Pulling in, let's add that calf raise. Press out, lower the heel, rise up, return, and 3 more. Last one. Rising up, pull it back in, land carefully into the stoppers, and popping the feet down. Ooh, very awake now through those legs and feet. Let's tip ourselves over to our sides. Let's change our spring around. We're moving into our abdominals. So one spring, we'll be having one spring on, and we'll bring ourselves down again. Finding our alignment on the carriage. We're going to reach behind us. We're going to grab into the hand straps, popping the hands through and reaching them long. As you can see, my ropes are a little bit tight, so I do need to activate a little bit more into my arms to push my hands over my shoulders. So I'm really switched on through the back of those arms already. My chest is heavy. And then on my exhale, I'm going to float one leg up. And on the next breath out, the second leg comes up. Let's squeeze the feet together. Moving into supine arm 1. We have 4 of these. Exhale, reaching the arms long. And then bringing them up. But back to just where the shoulders are, not beyond. We press. So there's strength here into those straps. Almost feels like a pivoting sensation through that shoulder joint. Now let's add into your hundreds regression. So this time around, as we do lower the hands, we're going to lift the chest, reach those fingertips, find the lift as we lower. Repeat. So just on 4 with the chest down and 4 with a chest lift. Hold here. Lower the hands to the hips. Turn the palms so they face your thighs. Inhale, arms go out to the sides. You're working through that scapular range, so you want to be really careful. Exhale, squeeze back in. You want to be a little bit careful that those arms aren't too low and that we don't open up too far either. And there's number 4. Bring the arms up, straight into number 3. Exhale, press the arms down. So this one's our combination. Arms open out to the sides. Squeeze in. Arms come up. And let's just do one more of these. And then we're going to add a little bit of a progression to it. Exhale, come up through your hundreds regression. Hold. Turn the palms to face the thighs. Open the arms out to the sides. Careful here that we don't lower the chest. Exhale, squeeze. Turn the palms down. Lower the chest. We do 3 more of these. Exhale, sternum draws you down. So drops, slides to the pubic bone. And Last one. Good. We lower ourselves into a setup again, popping one leg down and popping the other leg down. We're going to pop the straps down. We're going to roll to the side. We're going to change into a slightly different spring load for legs in straps. So that would be 1.5. Once you've adjusted your spring load, we'll pop ourselves back down again. And carefully here, we're going to press away using our legs up against the foot bar, and then take one leg into the foot strap, find the tension, and then bring the second leg up. Find our froggy position, so heels together, little turn out, anchored pelvis, and neutral spine. Exhale, press away. Inhale, fold back in through the hips, and using the energy of the back of the legs to press away, and then we fold back in. Note my breath. Exhale to press away. Working with the resistance of the rope. Be careful they don't just pull you in. You almost want to resist the movement. So find the oppositional pull that's occurring here. Press away, hold here. Just some lifts and lowers. Take the legs high as you can. Be mindful of the hamstring length without losing that neutral pelvis. Use the back of the legs. We press down on that exhale. Inhale up. The more those legs lift, the more you're going to think sitting bones down and long. Keeping those heels squeezing together, finding the adductor work in that static hold position. Careful as we press the legs down, that we don't let the tummy pop or the back arch. We want to keep this nicely controlled through the torso. Let's do one more. We'll bring those legs up to start, and we move into our circles. Press down first, and then separate, tracing that circle back to the top. Again, sometimes maintaining a smaller circle range can be trickier than letting the ropes take the legs apart. Good for another 4. Exhale to press down. Inhale for your circle. 2. And let's reverse those circles. Separate, press through the back of the legs, squeezing through those adductors, and drawing the legs back up, anchoring that sacrum and tail. Good, we've got another 4. I'll let you just check in on your body. Being mindful that we're still stable and our breath is connecting for that stability. Well done. We lower the legs down to 45 degrees for low openings. Inhale, opening the legs out, keeping them in a nice straight line, and exhale, squeezing them back together. This is a great little opportunity because you should be able to see from the corners of your eyes whether or not one leg wants to open up a little bit wider or lower than the other. We want to be working very much in unison, working evenly between both legs. And another 3 for a squeeze. And out with control. And a little squeeze. Come back into your little frog position. We're going to do a short adductor stretch today. So you're going to grab a hold of the ropes just above the buckles and let those heels pull in towards you that little bit more. But careful not to lift the tail or the bottom. Anchor it down and then just bring the heels apart and let the knees part a little bit. You're going to get that stretch for the upper adductor region. Just opening up the pelvis. 4 deep breaths into the pelvis. Carefully bringing them back together again. Bringing the hands back beside us. Pressing the legs up. And then extending out to the sides for your adductor, long adductor stretch. Again, those ropes, straps will want to take you. So just watch they don't start to lift you off. So you want to keep that pelvis nicely anchored. 2 more breaths. And carefully bringing them back together again. All right, we're going to take those straps off. 1 foot comes off. Reach for that foot bar. Find that stable position and bring the second foot off. Open back onto the pegs. And popping the hands back by our sides. Now, let's go. Rather than the heels, we're going to stay on our toes here, balls of the feet, and squeeze the heels together so you're in a little V position. Now we're moving into spinal articulation for our pelvic curls. Headrest definitely down. Just checking that it is. And then we're going to maintain the same springs. So this is going to be tough. Tough for those hamstrings, but good for us. All right, now we're in our turnout. Double check that those knees don't part too far. Adductors are still switched on. Keep the carriage still. See if we can give ourselves a pelvic curl here. Exhale, imprint, wind the pelvis, track the knees forwards and over the foot bar, opening up for the front of the hips. Breath in. And we curl it back down again. Ooh la la, I think I'm going to get a cramp in my hamstring. That's tough. All right, let's do 2 more of these. Exhale, imprint. Curl back, up, breath in. And sink that sternum, curl it back down. Good. So you might imagine this as a little bit later down in the track, preparing ourselves for all that semicircle work. Curling back up and curling back down again. Good. On this next one, we're going to stay up. We're going to go into some extension. Prepare. Exhale. Sink. Find that lower abdominal connection. Peel yourself up. Knees track over. And breath in to press away. 3/4 of the way. Keep those knees in a bit of a micro bend and pull yourself back in again. Let's repeat. We've got 4 here at the top. Now, making sure those hips stay up and the hips stay level. Pull in, hold that in, curl it back down again. Ooh, those legs are a little bit of a shakeout. My goodness. Okay, let's pop ourselves off to our side. So coming up, we're moving into our scooter. All righty. Now, I'm going to drop down to 1 spring. We do have a few reps in scooter, a few little variations. So we're going to be setting up. Leg comes in closely to the carriage, mid-carriage, and bringing the other foot up to the shoulder pad. Now, what I'd like to point out is that real nice connection between the heel and the shoulder pad. That connection is going to really fire up into that leg and find that back chain of that leg. We pitch forward, sit back into the heel, and then imprint. So we've got that real deep scoop on those abdominals. And just today, one hand on the bar. So the other hand goes behind the tail. So I've flipped it, I've anchored it to the sacrum, and just one hand remains on the bar. This is our opportunity to make sure that we're square through the shoulders and the hips. Let's go for 6. Breath in and careful how far you push. You don't want to lose your imprint, and we don't want to go into our lumbar for that push out. So it's all and hold here. Stay in your imprinted scooter position. Take the hand off the foot bar. Pop it behind your, with the other hand, back on the sacrum. Exhale, give yourself that little bit of scoop and press. Oh, so much tougher. And 2 more. Nicely done. We're going to walk ourselves over to the other side. Setting ourselves up nice and close to the carriage, mid-carriage. Bringing the other leg up, heel is up. Sitting back into our hip hinge. And then note that imprint. One hand on the foot bar, other hand behind the tail. Check that one hip hasn't hoiked or lifted. We're nice and square, ready to go. Inhale, press. Exhale, pull in. Finding that deep C curve through particularly the lumbar, the lower back. Lots of work happening on that standing glute side. That's your last one here. Hold in place, stay still with everything. Pop the other hand back, ready to go. And 2. Good. And 1. Beautiful. Coming up, we're moving up into our up stretch number 2. I'm going to add half a spring, so that's 1.5. I'm going to hold on to my foot bar and I'm going to come on up. Walking my heels 3/4 of the way up my shoulder pads for our up stretch number 1. So I like to call this a little bit of an A-frame. We're between the arms and the legs. And we've really got this energy through that foot bar, pushing up, pushing away. And we've also got that energy through the legs. Careful, we don't want to drop. We want to feel that lift. Keep everything still. Purely work for the back of the legs to push the carriage away a little bit and draw it back in using the abs. And we'll inhale and so it's not a big movement. It's a little, but it's very precise. Can we isolate that hip joint movement? Rather being really careful about not pushing through those arms. Let's do another 3 and 2 and 1. Hold. Draw the heels down the shoulder pads. Now, if you've got a carriage or a reformer that's quite large for your size, I would suggest walking in a little bit further forwards. Now, by doing that, let's not take the pelvis back. Bring the pelvis over the midfoot and feel the lifting of the arches. And now give me a little imprint through the lumbar and find that roundness curve. There's still strength through the shoulders and that push away through the foot bar. Elephant. A little breath in, a little movement back, and Think about the imprint remaining and how much more abdominal work we can hone in on using our breath as we pull in. Let's do another 3 more. Pulling the carriage in, we're going to take a step off. Very nice. Now, we're going to bring the foot bar down. And with that foot bar down, we're going to pop all our springs on. So I'm getting ready to do some short box work. Well, grabbing our short box, we're going to pop it on up against the shoulder pads, nicely centered, secure. We're going to come on up, grab our strap as well, ready to pop underneath our feet. Have a little sit down, pop the feet in. Moving into our genie. So we're quite far forwards of our box. So we've got a little bit of distance behind us. Feet are nice and parallel, in line with our ischials, our sitting bones. Finding that nice upright posture and finding that print for a moment through the body. Find that elongation through the crown of the head. And then popping one hand on top of the other. Now for today's genie, I want our hands to actually come down quite low towards our tummy. And from here, you're going to give me an exhale and feel like you're doing your roll back. So it's an exhale, lower abs scoop, pelvis rolls, and it rolls away from your arms. So you're maintaining that imprint as you roll back. Eye gaze is forwards. Check that the chin is tucked into the back of the throat. Breath in. Exhale, press the hands into the belly, roll yourselves forwards. Curl forwards, and then stack yourself back up again. So this little variation with the arms is giving yourself some tactile feedback. Exhale, tummy, imprints, lumbar, tailbone drives under, sitting bones wind under. Maintain that curvature, hold, breath in, hands land, and roll over those hands. Those abs are going the opposite way as you want to go forwards. And we stack back up. And find the curvature, curl, hold for your breath. Land the hands, curl forwards. And stacking up. Good, we're going to do the same thing with the genie arms remaining this time. Exhale, abs, draw in. We find the scoop, the wind, that posterior tilt of the pelvis. Check that the shoulders haven't lifted. We've drawn the shoulders down. We curl back. We take that breath in. We curl forward to restack. 2 more. Exhale. Hold, breathe in, and curl forwards. Stacking up. And with the feet in the straps, there is that little bit of psoas connection, but it's a lengthened psoas. And then we curl in. And we stack up tall. Popping the hands behind our heads. Making sure that there's a moment here where I want you to really retract the chin back to press the back of the head into the hands and the elbows are broad. Here, we tip or tilt. A breath in, we tip to one side. Think lift up and over, anchoring the opposite hip. And exhale, using your obliques to return. Other side, little tip. And exhale to return. Good. Find out lateral side work and return. And You want to be really careful here. I know my body tends to like to find its extension here in this upright position. So I'm really going to hone into my upper abdominals to wrap here and maintain that connection as I do the work. Make this one your last one. Hold. Good. Hopping the straps down. We're going to hop off that box. We're going to go lengthwise with it now. So it's your long box. Then we're going to bring ourselves back on the box. We're going to move into a little bit more challenging work. So think of this as your full body challenge. Reaching the arms forwards, exhale, roll back. Nice and slowly. Hold, breath in, and then exhale, roll forwards. Again, a little exhale to roll back. Just as the safe room, don't go too far here and be a little bit prouder through the chest. And now you're going to give me a little inhale just to lift the torso an inch up higher, and an exhale to lower down. So it's a little version of your teaser prep, a little bit regressed because the feet are down, and we're not going to a full range of lowering to the lumbar. Oh, shaky, shaky. Really maintain those abdominals. Last one, roll all the way up. Flopping the hands behind us, scooting the bottom even further forwards. Lay yourself down so the ends of the bottom edge of your scapulars are to the edge of the box. So hands behind the head for a little bit of support. We're going to learn and start to trust our bodies to go into extension over the long box. So here we're finding thoracic extension. So careful that your lower back doesn't arch and pull away from the box. And here, upper abdominals start to lift and wrap. Elbows are broad and wide. It's your chest lift. We lower, finding that extension. I want your eye gaze to still be relatively at the ceiling. If you're looking beyond, you've gone into hyperextension of your cervical. So make sure your neck is protected and you're working that extension through the thoracic instead. Good. So there's a bit of a trust element here of going over the box. This is a great way to start to prepare our mindset for all that work to come later down in the track when we're on the long box for double legs stretch, for example. Hold this next one up. Bring one leg up. Bring the second leg up. Lower the chest back down again. Or just do 4 more chest lifts here. With the legs not anchored anymore, you'll realize that even though you're going into extension and your abdominal wall is lengthening, you still got a lot of control in those abs. You haven't let go. And one more. Come up through chest lift. Lower one leg down. Lower the other leg down. Hold that chest lift position. Reach the arms forwards. See if we can roll ourselves up. Walking the hands up. And sit up tall. Hopping off. Taking all of our springs, well, not all of our springs, taking most of our springs off to one spring load only. We're moving into extension, pulling straps 1 and 2. Popping ourselves onto our tummy. Chest will be off. Finding that alignment on the box. Taking the straps, holding above the buckles. If we need a little less tension in the straps, we can always slide the hands down a little bit further. Allow the thoracic to find a little bit of flexion. Find the legs, find the back of the legs to hover. An abdominal wall pulls up, so give yourself that little bit of prone breathing. And then on the next exhale, I'm going to sweep those arms down and up, into our pulling strap 1. We lift, slight thoracic extension, hold. Collarbones are broad, long through the crown. We're like a dart flying through the air. So careful, we sweep back down again. Repeat, exhale up. And down. We're not doing too many of these because we are going to work through our progression. We're going to be really careful how high we lift up into that extension, really finding that the lumbar doesn't take over. From here, we're going to bring the arms out to a T and come up into a slight extension. And when those arms come up to a T, I want them in line with the shoulders. So taking a moment here, palms are down, facing down. Maintain that thoracic extension and sweep the pinkies to your thighs. Hold. And sweep, bringing them back nice and controlled. Just in line with the shoulders, so you're maintaining tension of the spring. And exhale. 2 more. And from here, we lower ourselves back down again. So with this in mind, we're going to do a little bit of a combination, starting with version number 1, pulling strap 1. Exhale, pulling up, finding the hands to the thighs, hold that extension. Open the arms up to a T, turn the palms to face the floor, hold. Sweep them back to the thighs, hold. And lower back down. And exhale up. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze. And we lower. And let's go for 2 more. Back of the arms, think triceps here, working really hard. Check in with the body on our last one. The legs are still active, the abdominals are still wrapping, and the collarbones are broad. We lower back down again, all the way down. Pop the straps back onto their pegs, carefully coming off the box. Popping the box off to the side. And we'll finish with a basic, I would say, a kneeling lunge today. Now, the kneeling lunge is going to be a slight regression, and it's a really nice way to start introducing the kneeling lunge to yourself or to your client. So you're going to bring 1 foot forwards on the foot bar on the platform rather than the foot bar. For this reason, it just gives that elimination of that deep flexion through the knee. And it is a bit more possible to square the hips up as well. Fingertips, I want us to create a little bit of an upright position. We're just going to push that back leg back, but keep the abdominal wall pulling up, nice and neutral. We're holding here. Start to push your way with the front leg, sitting back a little bit into that position, finding the length for the front leg for hamstring stretch, lifting the toes up. Feel like that thigh bone is sucking and drawing back into the pelvis to keep the pelvis nice and square. Bend the front leg and pull yourself back in again. We do that 1 more time. We start with our lunge. So think about that pull up through the pelvis, press away. Hold. Keep going, working through the front leg this time. Find that extension and try and keep those hips nice and level. Find length through the crown. Careful we're not rounding. I want a little bit of length through the crown and the tailbone. And pull yourself back in again. Lovely. Swapping sides. Making sure we've got this lovely alignment between the knee and the hip. And same too with the front leg. Pushing the carriageway into that lunge. Feeling that pull up. One more breath. And when you're ready, you can start to press away through the front leg, lifting the toes. Think about this time, the front thigh bone really drawing into its socket, almost like a spiraling sensation, and drawing back in again. Last time, lunge. Feel a little bit proud for the chest. Try not to be too reliant on the foot bar. And we'll hinge back, lengthening out through the front leg. Find length through the crown, through the tail, and drawing yourself back in again. Lovely, carefully coming off the reformer. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's class and hopefully found a few little variations of how we can start progressing from our basic repertoire and started introducing that more complex, progressive work and how we can make these little steps and use them as little challenge points as we go along. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed.